Okay, we're now talking about lesson objective 5.3, chapter 5, human resource management. I'm going to do an overview. We will discuss the advantages and disadvantages of various ways of eliminating a labor surplus and avoiding a labor shortage. Once forecasts for labor demand and supply are known, the planner can compare the figures to ascertain whether there will be a labor shortage or a labor surplus for the respective job categories. Although this kind of planning for the future is critical for employers, as the Competing Through Globalization box shows, this may be a matter of national security for some countries such as France. So let's find out why. So that gives us our, guess it's more like insight, competing through globalization. Can a 20-foot tall blue rooster save France? If you live in France, there's a good chance that the French Fab Tour may be coming to your town. This tour includes a team of a dozen technicians, 6 trucks, an Airstream trailer, and a gigantic robotic blue rooster who strides proudly into the future with his chest out and wings peeled back. The Fab in the title of the tour refers both to the idea of fabricateur, which means manufacturer, and fabulous. And the two concepts are combined with the intent of convincing the French that employment in the manufacturing sector is a great thing. This is a tough sell, and it may take more than a giant blue rooster to close the deal. But the government is desperate and intent on trying to change the culture in a way that makes the country more competitive on the global stage when it comes to manufacturing. When it comes to national strategy, France made the strategic decision decades ago to emphasize academic studies in school, securing the idea that the French would lead the world in technology, finance, and service sectors of the economy. Prior to this decision, France, along with Germany, was considered the manufacturing center of Europe, with a wide variety of plants stationed around the country. In fact, 20 years ago, over 25% of the French economy was based on manufacturing versus less than 10% today. However, Germany invested in manufacturing and developed a school system that emphasized skilled trades and apprenticeships. Indeed, over half of German students are exposed to curriculum grounded in applied work versus less than a third of French students. This decision trickles down to the shop floor, and even though the French unemployment rate is high at 10%, surveys of employers suggest that 50% of employers cannot recruit anyone to take their jobs. As Agnes Pannier-Rancher, the director of the Fab 5 tour, notes, the main problem for our competitiveness comes from the fact that we are not able to recruit, and we cannot recruit because we have an image problem. Solving this problem is a motion of national priority. France is a country that prides itself on self-sufficiency, including a heavy investment in harboring its own military hardware industry. To help maintain the country's sovereignty, So, one, I gotta apologize, a lot of reading, so. Out loud dictation and reading to yourself is a whole nother animal. But, like I said, I think this kind of verbal reference is necessary for anybody that doesn't have the book, that wants to listen along, have the content of the main objectives of each chapter. If they're gaining for a certificate, or like I said, looking for these classes, I think this could be a good resource. Okay, let's pick back up. However, the country was found to be totally unprepared during the COVID pandemic because it failed to develop any stockpile of personal protective equipment or ventilators, and then, when supplies ran out, was completely unable to manufacture any locally. In contrast, Germany was able to quickly mobilize not only with respect to PPE and ventilators, but also testing kits. To put this in quantifiable terms, Germany ran up a 1.4 billion trade surplus for testing kits versus France, which ran up a 900 million deficit. French President Emmanuel Macron asserted that this experience was to be a game changer for globalization. The country vowed to create a 1.2 billion program to subsidize jobs in French companies committed to manufacturing pharmaceuticals, electronics, and other strategic products. However, to date, the unwillingness on the part of the French worker to apply for those jobs stands in the way of these strategic incentives. Meanwhile, the giant blue rooster struggles to get off the ground. French citizens watch as the country receives airlifts from PPE from China and India. a signal of both its desperation and dependence. Okay, so some discussion questions they have for us. How do national level decisions regarding educational policy and training of young people affect the country's ability to compete in the different sectors of the global economy? How do the individual level decisions of young people regarding their own choices when it comes to applying for jobs affect their employment opportunities? And how might individuals strategically place themselves in high demand when they buck national level decisions? Okay, I guess that's a good spot to take a break. 5 minutes is long enough. So I will pick back up in the next section of 5.3, and we will continue this diction.